gnawing sensation in your gut, telling you something isn't quite right about the man you're dating, but you can't put your finger on exactly what it is. This message could save you from years of heartache and regret. What I'm about to share with you has taken me decades of observation, research, and painful real-world experience to understand fully. There are 3 specific types of men who present themselves as perfect partners, especially to mature, accomplished women like yourself. But beneath their charming exterior lies a pattern of behavior so destructive, so carefully calculated, that by the time you realize what's happening, you've already lost precious years of your life. Your confidence has been shattered, and you're left wondering how someone so intelligent and experienced could have been so thoroughly deceived. The reason these 3 types are particularly dangerous for women in our demographic is that they've spent decades perfecting their craft. They know exactly what mature women value, what we've been through, what our vulnerabilities are, and most devastatingly, they know how to exploit the very qualities that make us beautiful, compassionate human beings. They turn our empathy into a weapon against us, our desire for genuine connection into a trap, and our life experience into a liability rather than the asset it should be. Before we dive deep into identifying these 3 toxic archetypes, I need you to understand something crucial. This isn't about becoming cynical or closed off to love. This isn't about distrusting all men or building walls around your heart. This is about developing the kind of discernment that protects you while still allowing you to remain open to authentic, healthy love. This is about honoring yourself enough to recognize when someone is playing games with your heart, and having the courage to walk away before the real damage begins. Welcome to the Heart Code, where we decode the complex patterns of human relationships with honesty, depth, and the kind of wisdom that only comes from really paying attention to how people behave when they think no one is watching. I'm so grateful you're here today, because what we're going to discuss might be the most important conversation you have all year about your romantic life. If you're finding value in this content, I want to ask you to do something for me and for yourself. Hit that like button right now. I know it seems like a small thing, but it actually helps this message reach other women who desperately need to hear it. Someone out there right now is in the early stages of involvement with one of these 3 types of men, and she's searching for answers to that uncomfortable feeling she can't shake. Your like could be what helps her find this video before it's too late. And here's what I really want from you as we go through this together. I want you to comment below and share your experiences. Have you encountered these types? What red flags did you notice? What happened when you trusted your instincts versus when you ignored them? Your wisdom in the comments section creates a community of support that's invaluable to women who are going through this alone and feeling like they're crazy for questioning someone everyone else thinks is wonderful. If this information helps you avoid even one toxic relationship, or helps you recognize that you need to exit a situation you're currently in, please share this video with the women in your life. We need to look out for each other. The culture often tells us to give men the benefit of the doubt, to be understanding, to work harder on the relationship. But sometimes the most loving thing we can do for ourselves is to trust what we're seeing and get out before we're in too deep. And finally, subscribe to the Heart Code and turn on notifications, because we're building something special here. This is a channel dedicated to your emotional freedom, to helping you navigate relationships from a place of strength and clarity, rather than fear and confusion. We release content regularly that's designed to help you understand human behavior at a level most people never reach, so you can make decisions that honor your worth. One more thing before we begin. If you have the means and you find this content genuinely valuable, please consider supporting the channel with a super thanks. It's a direct way to contribute to keeping this content free and accessible to all women who need it. and it allows us to continue producing in-depth, research-based material that cuts through the surface-level advice you find everywhere else. Your support, in whatever form it takes, means everything. Now let's talk about these 3 types of men, and I want you to pay very close attention because the details matter enormously. These aren't caricatures or stereotypes. These are real patterns I've seen destroy the lives of intelligent, successful, beautiful women over and over again. Type 1. The professional victim. The first type of toxic man you need to recognize immediately is what I call the professional victim. This is perhaps the most insidious of the 3 types because he presents himself as sensitive, wounded, and in need of the kind of nurturing that mature women are often exceptionally good at providing. He seems like the antithesis of toxic masculinity. He's in touch with his feelings. He's willing to be vulnerable. He talks about his pain openly. And for women who've spent years dealing with emotionally unavailable men, this can feel like finally finding someone who gets it, someone who's done the work, someone who's ready for real intimacy. But here's what's actually happening beneath the surface. The professional victim has discovered that playing the role of the wounded soul is an incredibly effective way to manipulate compassionate women into taking care of him emotionally, financially, and practically, while never actually having to reciprocate or take responsibility for his own life. He's not sharing his vulnerabilities to create intimacy. He's weaponizing them to create obligation. Let me paint you a detailed picture of how this typically unfolds, because the pattern is remarkably consistent. When you first meet him, he'll share his story of hardship, and it will be genuinely moving. Maybe he's been through a devastating divorce where his ex-wife treated him terribly. Maybe he's had a string of career setbacks that weren't his fault. Maybe his family never appreciated him. Maybe his health has been challenging. Whatever the specifics, the theme is always the same. Life has been uniquely unfair to him, and he's been trying so hard to overcome it, but he just keeps getting knocked down by circumstances beyond his control. At first, this vulnerability is endearing. You think to yourself, here's a man who's been through real pain but hasn't become bitter. Here's someone who still believes in love despite being hurt. Here's a person who deserves someone who will finally treat him right. And you, being the capable, nurturing woman you are, start to think that maybe you're the person who can help him finally catch a break. Maybe you're the one who can show him that not all women are like his ex. Maybe you're the partner who will support him while he gets back on his feet. This is exactly where the trap closes, because what you don't realize yet is that the professional victim has no intention of ever getting back on his feet. Being down is his comfort zone. Being the underdog is his identity. Having someone to blame for his problems is essential to his psychological survival. And having you in the role of rescuer is precisely where he needs you to be, because it means he never has to actually change or grow or take responsibility for his life. As the relationship progresses, you'll notice a pattern emerging, and it's crucial that you recognize it early. Every time he starts to make progress in any area of his life, something will mysteriously go wrong, and it will always be someone else's fault. He was about to get that job, but they went with someone less qualified who knew someone in management. He was going to start that business, but his partner backed out at the last minute. He was getting healthier, but then this new symptom appeared that the doctors can't explain. He was going to pay you back that money he borrowed, but then his car broke down and he had to use it for repairs. Pay attention to the language he uses. The professional victim speaks almost exclusively in passive voice when discussing his problems. Things happen to him. He doesn't make choices that lead to consequences. His ex did things to him. His boss did things to him. The system did things to him. His family did things to him. He never says, I made a decision that didn't work out. He never says, I have a pattern I need to change. He never says, I'm responsible for where I am, and I'm going to do something different. Instead, it's always some external force that has victimized him, and he's just trying to survive. What makes this particularly effective on mature women is that we've often spent our lives being the strong ones. We've held families together. We've built careers while managing households. We've supported partners through their struggles. We've been the reliable ones, the fixers, the ones who make things work, no matter what. And when we meet a man who seems to need that strength and support, it activates something deep within us. We want to help. We want to make a difference. We want to be the person who finally gets through to him and helps him realize his potential. But here's the devastating truth about the professional victim. He doesn't want to realize his potential. His entire identity is built around being damaged, being unlucky, being the one who would have succeeded if only life had been fairer, if he actually overcame his challenges and became successful and stable. He would have to give up the victim narrative that has served him so well. He would have to take responsibility for his life. He would have to reciprocate in relationships instead of just taking. And he's not willing to do that. Instead, what happens is that you gradually become responsible for more and more of his life. You start helping him with small things. You give him advice. You make some calls on his behalf. You lend him money to cover an emergency. You let him stay with you when his housing situation falls through. You support him emotionally when he's having a hard day, which is most days. And each time you do these things, he's grateful. He tells you you're amazing. He tells you he doesn't know what he'd do without you. He tells you you're not like other women who gave up on him. But notice what's not happening. He's not getting stronger. He's not becoming more independent. He's not taking steps to solve his own problems. Instead, he's becoming more dependent on you, and you're becoming more invested in his story of victimhood because you've put so much into trying to help him overcome it. You can't walk away now, you tell yourself, because you've come so far together. He's almost there. He just needs a little more support. Except he's not almost there. He'll never be there, because there is no there for the professional victim. The struggle is the point. The unfairness is the point. Having you sacrifice for him is the point. He's not trying to escape victimhood. He's trying to find better and better victims who will support his victim narrative while he does nothing to change. Let me share some specific red flags that will help you identify the professional victim before you're in too deep. First, listen to how he talks about his past relationships. If every single relationship ended because the woman didn't understand him, didn't support him enough, gave up on him when things got hard, or turned out to be selfish and uncaring, that's a massive red flag. One bad relationship? That can happen to anyone. Two? Okay, bad luck exists, but 5, 6, 7 relationships that all ended the same way with him as the innocent party who got hurt? That's a pattern, and you're looking at the common denominator. Second, watch how he responds when you set even the smallest boundary or expectation. Does he immediately frame it as you not understanding him, not supporting him, being like all the others who gave up on him? Does he bring up how hard things have been for him as a way to make you feel guilty for having needs? Does he use his past trauma as a reason why he can't meet you halfway on basic relationship requirements? If so, you're dealing with someone who uses victimhood as a shield against accountability. Third, observe whether he ever takes concrete action to improve his situation. Is he applying for jobs every day if he's unemployed? Or is he mostly talking about how unfair the job market is? Is he going to therapy and doing the work if he's dealing with past trauma? Or is he just repeatedly telling the story of his trauma to anyone who will listen? Is he making a budget and sticking to it if he's in financial trouble? Or is he just lamenting about how expensive everything is? Talk is easy. Action requires accountability. The professional victim is all talk. Fourth, notice how he reacts to your successes. A healthy partner celebrates when good things happen to you. The professional victim feels threatened by your success because it highlights his failure. He may not say it directly, but you'll feel him subtly minimizing your achievements, pointing out the ways you were lucky or had advantages he didn't have, or immediately following your good news with something negative from his own life that shifts the focus back to his struggles. Your joy becomes about his pain. Your wins become reminders of his losses. Fifth, watch what happens when you're going through something difficult yourself. When you need support, does he step up or does he make it about how your problem affects him? If you're sick, does he take care of you or does he talk about how hard it is for him to see you sick because it reminds him of when he was sick and no one took care of him? If you're stressed about work, does he listen and support you or does he talk about how much more stressful his work situation is? The professional victim cannot handle being in the supporting role. He can only be the one being supported. The psychological mechanism at work here is something called learned helplessness, combined with manipulative entitlement. He's genuinely convinced that life is unfair to him and that he deserves to be taken care of because of how much he's suffered. He's not necessarily consciously manipulating you, which is part of what makes this so difficult to detect. He believes his own story. He really thinks he's just had bad luck and that he just needs someone who finally understands him and supports him properly. But the impact on you is devastating regardless of his conscious intent. You'll find yourself exhausted from constantly managing his emotions, solving his problems, and walking on eggshells to avoid triggering his sense of victimhood. You'll notice that you've stopped talking about your own needs and feelings because there's never room for them. Every conversation somehow circles back to his pain, his struggles, his unfair circumstances. You'll realize that you're giving everything and receiving nothing, and when you try to address this imbalance, he'll make you feel selfish for having expectations. The financial toll is often significant as well. The professional victim always has a reason why he can't contribute equally. He lost his job, his car broke down, he has medical expenses, his child support is too high. Whatever the reason, you'll find yourself covering more than your share, and those short-term loans will never be repaid. The temporary help will become permanent support, and if you ever bring up the financial imbalance, he'll act hurt that you're making something as crass as money more important than the relationship, conveniently forgetting that his willingness to let you support him indefinitely is also making money important, just in a different way. The emotional manipulation becomes more intense the longer you're with him. He'll use his vulnerability as a weapon. If you try to leave, he'll fall apart. He'll talk about how this is just like what everyone else did to him, abandoning him when he needs support most. He'll remind you of all the times you said you'd be there for him. He'll make you feel like leaving him would make you a terrible person, just as bad as all the people who hurt him before. And because you're a caring person who doesn't want to hurt anyone, this manipulation is incredibly effective. What you need to understand is that leaving the professional victim is not abandoning someone in need. It's refusing to enable someone who has no intention of helping themselves. It's recognizing that your compassion is being exploited, not appreciated. It's understanding that real healing and growth require the person to take responsibility for their own life, and by constantly rescuing him, you're actually preventing him from having to do that. The healthy alternative to the professional victim is a man who has been through difficult things, has genuinely processed that pain, takes responsibility for his own healing, and brings that wisdom into the relationship as strength rather than weakness. He can be vulnerable without being helpless. He can share his struggles without making them your responsibility to fix. He can receive support without expecting you to sacrifice yourself. He contributes equally, He celebrates your successes. He shows up for you when you need him. He's not perfect, but he's accountable, and that makes all the difference. If you're currently involved with someone who fits this profile, I want you to do an honest assessment. Write down everything you do for him. Write down everything he does for you. Look at the lists side by side. Then ask yourself, if this imbalance continues for the next 5 years, will I be happy? Will I be fulfilled? Will I feel loved and valued? Or will I be depleted, resentful, and wondering where my life went? You deserve a partner, not a project. You deserve someone who adds to your life, not someone who drains you while blaming everyone else for his problems. You deserve reciprocity, not one-sided sacrifice. And recognizing the professional victim for what he is might be painful, but it's also incredibly freeing because it means you can stop trying to save someone who doesn't want to be saved and start investing your beautiful energy in people and pursuits that actually value what you have to offer. Type 2. The subtle controller. The second type of toxic man is the subtle controller, and he's dangerous precisely because he doesn't look like what we typically think of as controlling. He's not overtly aggressive. He doesn't yell or throw things. He doesn't tell you what you can and can't do in obvious ways. Instead, he operates through a sophisticated system of subtle influence, gentle questioning, helpful suggestions, and concerned observations that slowly, almost imperceptibly, reshape your life until you wake up one day and realize you've become someone you don't recognize, making choices you never would have made on your own, and you have no idea how you got here. The subtle controller is particularly effective on mature, accomplished women because he presents himself as respectful of your independence and autonomy. He says things like, "I love how strong and capable you are." He tells you he admires your career and your friendships and your active life. He says he's not like those insecure men who feel threatened by successful women. He wants a partner, he says, not someone he can control. And you believe him because on the surface, his behavior seems to match his words. But pay attention to what's happening underneath those words, because that's where the control lives. It's in the slight disappointment in his voice when you mention plans with friends. It's in the concerned questions about whether your boss is taking advantage of you when you work late. It's in the helpful suggestions about how you could dress more elegantly or eat more healthily or manage your time more efficiently. It's in the gentle observations about how you seem stressed lately or how you're not as happy as you used to be, with the implication that your life choices are to blame. Let me walk you through how this typically develops, because understanding the progression is essential to recognizing it early. In the beginning, the subtle controller is incredibly attentive. He notices everything about you. He remembers details from conversations. He's interested in your life, your work, your friends, your family, your hobbies. This feels wonderful, especially if you've been with men who barely paid attention. Finally, you think, here's someone who really sees me and values me. But what you don't realize is that he's not just getting to know you. He's gathering information. He's learning what matters to you, what your insecurities are, what your triggers are, where your boundaries are, what your support systems are. He's creating a detailed map of your psychological landscape, so he knows exactly where and how to apply pressure when the time comes. The first phase of control is so subtle, you probably won't even recognize it as control. It comes in the form of helpful observations and caring concerns. He might say something like, "I noticed your friend Sarah always seems to leave you feeling drained after you spend time with her. I just want to make sure you're taking care of yourself." Or, "Your boss asked you to work this weekend again? I'm just worried. They're not respecting your boundaries." Or, "I love that you're so social, but you've been going out a lot lately. I miss having quiet time with just you." On the surface, these seem like caring statements from someone who's looking out for your well-being. But notice what's happening. He's planting seeds of doubt about your relationships, your job, your social life, your judgment. He's not telling you what to do. That would be too obvious. Instead, he's asking questions and making observations that lead you to question yourself. Am I letting Sarah take advantage of me? Is my boss being unreasonable? Am I not spending enough quality time with my partner? This is crucial to understand. The subtle controller doesn't want you to change because he told you to change. He wants you to change because you decided to change, convinced it was your own idea. That way you can't resent him for controlling you. And he can deny that he's controlling you, and both of you can believe that you're just making better choices now that you have his perspective to consider. As the relationship progresses, these helpful observations become more frequent and more pointed. He starts making suggestions about your appearance. He loves you exactly as you are, of course, but have you ever thought about trying a different hairstyle? That color you're wearing is nice, but he really loves when you wear blue because it brings out your eyes. Those shoes are cute, but they're not very practical, and he worries about you hurting your feet. None of these comments alone are terrible. Taken together over time, they add up to a systematic reshaping of how you present yourself to match his preferences, all while maintaining the fiction that these are your choices. The same pattern applies to how you spend your time. He never forbids you from seeing your friends. Instead, he creates uncomfortable situations when you do. Maybe he's in a bad mood when you get home from girls' night. Maybe he gets sick or has a crisis that needs your attention whenever you have plans without him. Maybe he schedules special date nights on the same evenings you usually meet your friends, and you feel guilty for choosing them over him. Maybe he just seems sad and withdrawn when you're getting ready to leave, and when you ask what's wrong, he says he's fine, but you can tell he's not fine. This is emotional manipulation at its most effective because it gives him complete deniability. If you confront him about not wanting you to see your friends, he'll be shocked and hurt that you would accuse him of something like that. Of course, he wants you to have friends. He just thought you'd want to spend time with him too. He didn't realize he wasn't important to you. He thought you enjoyed your time together, but clearly, he was wrong. Now you're in a position of having to reassure him and prove that you do value the relationship. And somehow the conversation that was supposed to be about him controlling your friendships has become about you not appreciating him enough. Watch how he handles disagreements, because this is where the subtle controller's true nature becomes most visible. He doesn't fight fair. He doesn't yell or become aggressive, so you can't accuse him of being abusive. Instead, he uses tactics that are much harder to pin down. He withdraws. He becomes cold and distant. He gives you the silent treatment. He acts hurt and disappointed. He makes you feel like you're being unreasonable or too sensitive or making a big deal out of nothing. He never addresses the actual issue you brought up. Instead, he turns it around so you're the one apologizing, the one trying to make things right, the one who feels bad for upsetting him. Let's say you try to talk to him about something he did that bothered you. Maybe he made plans without consulting you, or he criticized you in front of others, or he forgot something important to you. A healthy partner would listen, acknowledge your feelings, and work with you to prevent the problem from happening again. The subtle controller does something entirely different. First, he'll act confused and hurt that you're upset. He didn't realize this was a problem. He was just trying to help or be spontaneous or make things easier for you. His intentions were good. How can you be angry at someone whose intentions were good? Then he'll point out times when you did similar things, except when he does it, it's called holding you accountable for a pattern of behavior. He's not trying to fight, he just thinks it's worth noting that you scheduled something last month without checking with him first. And he didn't make a big deal about it because he trusts you and doesn't want to be controlling. Notice how he just did several things at once. He made your valid concern seem petty by comparison to his mature, trusting approach. He introduced the idea that he could be controlling but chooses not to be, implying that you should be grateful for his restraint. And he's turned your complaint about his behavior into a discussion about your behavior. So now you're defending yourself instead of addressing the original issue. If you persist in trying to discuss the problem, he'll escalate his emotional manipulation. He might say things like, "I feel like I can never do anything right with you," or "I'm always walking on eggshells trying not to upset you," or "Maybe I'm just not the right person for you if I make you this unhappy." These statements are designed to make you panic and back down. Suddenly, you're not trying to address a specific behavior anymore. You're trying to save the relationship from ending. You're trying to prove you're not impossible to please. You're trying to show him that he does make you happy. And just like that, the issue you raised never gets resolved. In fact, you probably end up apologizing for bringing it up in a way that made him feel attacked. You probably end up comforting him and reassuring him that you value the relationship. And you've learned an important lesson that you might not consciously articulate, but that sinks in deep. Bringing up problems causes more pain than it solves, so it's better to just let things go. This is how the subtle controller trains you to stop having needs, stop having boundaries, stop having opinions that differ from his. He never tells you you're not allowed to have these things. He just makes it so uncomfortable and emotionally exhausting when you express them that you gradually stop doing it. You tell yourself you're choosing your battles, being flexible, prioritizing the relationship. But what's really happening is that you're slowly erasing yourself to keep the peace. The financial control with this type is also subtle. He doesn't take your money or prevent you from working. Instead, he influences your decisions in ways that benefit him financially, while appearing to be in your best interest. He might suggest you cut back on work to reduce stress, conveniently resulting in you earning less and being more dependent on him. He might encourage you to lend money to his family or invest in his business ventures, framing it as building a shared future. He might make large purchases that affect both of you without consulting you, then explain that he was handling it because he knows how busy you are. Pay attention to how he talks about money in general. Does he have one set of rules for how you should spend money and a different set for himself? Does he question your purchases while expecting you to accept his without comment? Does he frame his spending as necessary or investment-worthy, while framing yours as frivolous or wasteful? Does he ever suggest combining finances in ways that give him more control over the overall financial picture? The isolation that the subtle controller creates is particularly insidious because it happens so gradually that you don't notice until you're already isolated. You didn't stop seeing your friends because he forbade it. You stopped because it became too complicated, too conflict-inducing, too exhausting. They didn't understand him anyway. They were always making comments about your relationship. It was easier to just drift apart. Your family. Well, they never really got him either, and the holidays were always so stressful, and you're too old to keep dealing with their drama. Your hobbies? You got too busy, and honestly, they didn't matter as much as spending time with your partner. One day you look around and realize that your world has become very small, and he's at the center of it, and you can't remember exactly how this happened, but you know that any attempt to expand that world again will be met with those hurt looks, those concerned questions, that emotional withdrawal that makes you feel like you're doing something wrong by wanting a life outside of him. Here's a particularly cruel aspect of the subtle controller. He often positions himself as the reasonable one, the mature one, the one who's trying to make the relationship work, while you're the one being difficult. When you try to explain to friends or family that something feels wrong in the relationship, you can't point to anything concrete. He doesn't hit you. He doesn't cheat. He doesn't refuse to work or contribute. He's actually very attentive and involved. So when you say something like, "I feel like I can't be myself anymore," or "I feel controlled," it sounds vague and ungrateful. People tell you that relationships require compromise. They tell you that you're lucky to have someone so devoted. They tell you that maybe you're being too sensitive or too independent to really let someone in. This external validation of his narrative makes it even harder for you to trust your own perceptions. Maybe you are the problem. Maybe you are too difficult. Maybe you should be more grateful. Maybe this is just what mature love looks like and your expectations are unrealistic. Maybe you're sabotaging a good relationship because you're afraid of intimacy. The subtle controller doesn't need to convince you of these things himself, because the culture does it for him, and your own doubts do it for you. The sexual dynamics with this type often follow the same pattern of subtle control. He doesn't force you into anything, but he does make you feel guilty for not wanting what he wants when he wants it. He pouts if you're not in the mood. He makes comments about how other couples have more frequent sex. He suggests that your lower libido might be a medical issue. You should get checked out. He frames his needs as normal and yours as deficient. And because you're a loving partner who wants him to be happy, you find yourself having sex when you don't really want to, telling yourself it's no big deal, it's just part of being in a relationship. But it is a big deal because it's another area where your authentic desires are being suppressed in favor of keeping him satisfied. It's another way you're learning that your feelings and needs are less important than his comfort and pleasure. It's another brick in the wall of your disappearing self. If you're recognizing your relationship in this description, I want you to try an experiment. Start saying no to small things. Not big confrontations, just small boundary setting. I don't feel like going out tonight. I'm going to spend Saturday with my friend. I don't want to lend money for that. I'm going to keep my phone on during dinner because I'm expecting an important call. Watch what happens. Not just what he says, but what he does. Does he respect your boundary, or does he find ways to make you feel bad for setting it? To question whether you really need it? To suggest that you're being selfish or difficult? The healthy alternative to the subtle controller is a man who genuinely respects your autonomy. He encourages your friendships. He's happy when you pursue your interests. He doesn't track your time or need to know where you are every moment. He handles disagreements by actually discussing the issue and working toward a resolution. He doesn't punish you with silence or withdrawal when you upset him. He doesn't need to be the center of your universe to feel secure. He has his own full life and he wants you to have yours, and you come together to enhance each other's lives, not consume each other. This man trusts you and doesn't need to subtly manage every aspect of your existence to feel comfortable. He accepts influence from you just as you accept influence from him. The relationship feels like a partnership between equals, not a careful dance where you're always trying not to trigger his disappointment or withdrawal. You can be fully yourself without constant anxiety about whether you're making him happy enough. If you're with the subtle controller, leaving will be harder than you expect, because he's trained you to question your own judgment and to feel responsible for his emotional state. He'll tell you you're making a mistake. He'll tell you you're throwing away something good because you have unrealistic expectations. He'll remind you of all the ways he's been there for you. He'll promise to change, and he might even actually modify his behavior temporarily until you're invested again, and then the patterns will resume. You might need help leaving. You might need a therapist who understands emotional abuse to validate that what you're experiencing is real. You might need friends and family who support you unconditionally to remind you that your perceptions are valid. You might need to make a clean break rather than trying to extract yourself gradually, because every conversation with him will leave you doubting yourself again. But here's what I know for certain. You deserve to live your own life, make your own choices, have your own opinions, maintain your own relationships, and pursue your own interests without someone subtly undermining all of it while claiming to support you. You deserve a partner who celebrates your fullness, not one who systematically diminishes it while denying that's what he's doing. Your instinct that something is wrong is right. Even if you can't articulate exactly what it is, trust that instinct. It's trying to protect you from losing yourself completely. Type 3, the late life opportunist. The third and final type of toxic man is the late life opportunist, and he's specifically dangerous to women in our demographic because he targets mature women deliberately and strategically. He's usually significantly older than you, though sometimes he's close to your age, but has aged poorly in terms of life skills and emotional development. He presents himself as a traditional man of a certain generation, someone with old-fashioned values about commitment and partnership, someone who knows how to treat a lady. He seems financially stable, socially established, and ready for a serious relationship. He seems like exactly what you've been looking for after years of dating emotionally unavailable men or building your own life. But here's what's really happening. The late life opportunist is looking for someone to take care of him as he ages, to manage his life, to provide companionship and caregiving, and possibly to gain access to your financial resources and assets. He's not interested in you as a full person. He's interested in what you can do for him. And he's very, very good at disguising this transactional approach as romantic interest and genuine partnership. The pattern usually starts with him coming on very strong. He's romantic in old-fashioned ways. Flowers, nice dinners, compliments, talk of a future together. He moves fast, expressing deep feelings early, talking about how he's finally found someone who understands him, someone who's on his level, someone he can build a life with. This intensity feels flattering, especially if you've been single for a while, or if you've been dating men who were afraid of commitment. Finally, you think, someone who knows what he wants and isn't afraid to pursue it. But if you look more closely at what he's actually pursuing, you'll see that it's not really you. It's the role he needs filled. He's looking for a wife in the most functional sense of that word. Someone who will manage his household, organize his social life, handle his logistics, support his image, and eventually, as he ages, provide care and companionship. He's looking for security, stability, and service. You, as an individual with your own needs and dreams and complexity, are largely irrelevant to this equation. You're interchangeable with any capable, pleasant woman who can fulfill these functions. One of the clearest signs of the late life opportunist is how little genuine curiosity he shows about your inner life. He'll ask about your job, your living situation, whether you have children, what your family is like, whether you're close to them. But these questions aren't about understanding you as a person. They're about assessing your suitability for the role he needs filled and evaluating what resources and complications you bring to the table. Does he ever ask about your dreams, your fears, your beliefs? What makes you feel alive? What you're struggling with? What matters most to you? Or does conversation always stay on the surface level of logistics and pleasantries? Watch how he talks about his past relationships, particularly his marriage, if he's been married before. There are men who take genuine responsibility for their part in the ending of a relationship, who've done the work to understand their patterns, who can articulate what they've learned and how they've grown. The late life opportunist is not that man. His previous relationship or relationships ended because his wife or partner changed, became difficult, didn't appreciate him, focused too much on the children and not enough on him, let herself go, became bitter or cold or demanding. The subtext is always that he was the stable, reasonable one, and she failed to hold up her end of the partnership. This should be a massive red flag because what he's telling you is that he expects relationships to follow a specific script where his needs are central and the woman's job is to meet those needs indefinitely. And if she fails to do so, she's the problem. He's already setting up the framework for how he'll view you if you ever fall short of his expectations. You won't be a human being with changing needs and circumstances. You'll be someone who's not holding up their end of the deal. The financial dynamics with the late life opportunist require very careful attention. On the surface, he may appear financially stable. He has a house, a car, a retirement account. He talks about being comfortable. But look deeper. Is the house mortgaged to the hilt? Is the car leased? Is the retirement account substantial or just adequate? More importantly, watch how he handles money in the early stages of the relationship. Does he insist on paying for everything? Or is he surprisingly comfortable letting you pay, despite his old-fashioned rhetoric about being a provider? Many late-life opportunists go through a phase of appearing generous to hook you in, but you'll notice the generosity is mostly performative. He'll take you to nice dinners, but always with coupons or during early bird specials. He'll buy you gifts, but they're things he got on sale or things that serve his purposes as much as yours. He talks about his financial stability, but he's vague about specifics. And once you're more committed, you'll start to see the reality of his situation, which is often much less stable than he represented. Pay attention to what happens when the relationship becomes more serious and you start talking about a future together. Does he suggest moving in together in a way that would primarily benefit him financially? Maybe he suggests you sell your place and move into his, but the house stays in his name alone. Maybe he suggests combining households, but keeping finances separate in ways that protect his assets, but not yours. Maybe he starts having more financial emergencies that require your help, having established himself as a proud man who wouldn't ask unless he really needed it. The late-life opportunist is often looking for what amounts to a live-in caregiver who pays for the privilege. He wants someone to cook his meals, manage his medications, drive him to appointments, handle his affairs, and provide companionship as he ages, while he contributes as little as possible financially and emotionally. This isn't a partnership. It's an employment arrangement where you're working for free and also paying for the opportunity to do so. One particularly troubling pattern with this type is how he talks about aging and health. He'll often make comments about how he hopes someone will be there for him as he gets older, how it's important to have a partner who will stick by you through health challenges, how he saw his parents or friends struggle alone in old age, and he doesn't want that to happen to him. What he's doing is planting the expectation that your primary role in this relationship will be as his caregiver, and that leaving him, if he becomes ill or difficult, would make you a terrible person who abandoned someone in need. But notice that this concern is entirely one-directional. Does he ever talk about being there for you as you age? Does he consider that you might have health challenges? Does he think about what kind of support you might need? Or is it always framed as you being his insurance policy against a lonely, difficult old age? The late-life opportunist sees your value primarily in terms of what you can provide for him, not as a mutual partnership where you care for each other. Watch how he responds to your independence and capabilities. Initially, he'll seem to admire these traits. He'll say things like, "I love how together you are," or "You're so capable and organized." But as the relationship progresses, you'll notice he starts to take advantage of these qualities while subtly undermining them. He'll rely on you to handle more and more because you're so good at it, while simultaneously making comments that suggest you're too independent, too self-sufficient, too unwilling to let him take care of you. What he really means is that he wants you to be competent enough to manage his life along with yours. but not so independent that you don't need him and can easily leave. The relationship with the late-life opportunist often involves a lot of future talk that never materializes into concrete action. He talks about trips you'll take together, but when it comes time to actually plan and book, there's always a reason to delay. He talks about making your relationship official, but there's always a reason why now isn't the right time. He talks about making you a real part of his life, but he keeps you separate from his finances, his family, his important decisions. The talk creates the illusion of commitment and partnership, while the reality is that you're being kept at arm's length from anything that would actually give you security or legal standing. This becomes especially important to recognize if you start providing significant financial support or caregiving, if you're not married, if you're not on deeds or accounts, if you don't have legal protections. You could invest years of your life and substantial resources into this man only to find that you have no security, no claim, no protection. And the late-life opportunist knows this. He's keeping his options open and his assets protected while expecting you to be all in. Let's talk about something really important here that women in our demographic face. There's often enormous pressure, both internal and external, to be in a relationship at this stage of life. The culture tells us that being single after a certain age is sad, that we're running out of time, that we should be grateful for any decent man who's interested. This makes us vulnerable to men like the late-life opportunist, who seem like a good option simply because they're there and they're interested, and they seem stable enough. But I need you to hear this. Being alone is infinitely better than being with someone who sees you as a service provider rather than a partner. Being alone is better than spending your retirement years caring for a man who contributes nothing to your life except demands. Being alone is better than investing your resources in someone who has no intention of protecting your interests in return. Being alone means you get to live your life on your own terms. Pursue your own interests, make your own choices, and maintain your own dignity. The healthy alternative to the late-life opportunist is a man who sees you as a complete person, not a role to be filled. He's genuinely interested in who you are, what you think, what you want from life at this stage. He's as concerned about your security and well-being as he is about his own. He's transparent about his financial situation and willing to make legal and financial commitments that protect both of you. He contributes equally to the relationship in whatever ways are realistic, given your individual situations. He doesn't expect you to sacrifice your independence or your resources to support his comfort. This man enhances your life rather than consuming it. Being with him gives you more freedom, more joy, more possibilities, not fewer. You trust him because he's shown himself to be trustworthy through consistent actions over time, not because he said the right words early on. He's proven that he values you as a person, not just as a function. He's built a partnership with you where both people's needs matter and both people contribute and both people benefit. If you're currently involved with someone who fits the late-life opportunist profile, you need to protect yourself immediately. Don't move in together or sell your property or combine finances or make any major financial or legal commitments until you've had a lawyer review everything to ensure your interests are protected. Don't provide caregiving beyond what you'd be comfortable with if the relationship ended tomorrow. Don't lend money or pay for things with the expectation of being paid back. Don't sacrifice your financial security or independence for someone who hasn't made equivalent commitments to you. And honestly, consider whether this relationship is worth continuing at all. If he's shown you that he sees you primarily as a resource rather than a partner, if his interest in you is based on what you can do for him rather than who you are, if he expects you to sacrifice while he protects himself, that's not going to change. You can't love someone into seeing you as valuable. You can't prove your worth to someone who's fundamentally approaching the relationship as a transaction. You can't create a genuine partnership with someone who only wants an employee. You've worked too hard and come too far to spend your later years being used by someone who doesn't truly value you. You deserve actual partnership, actual reciprocity, actual respect. You deserve someone who sees your needs as equally important to theirs, who contributes as much as they take, who values you for who you are rather than what you can provide. Don't settle for less out of fear or loneliness or pressure. Being selective is not being difficult, it's being wise. Common patterns across all three types. Now that we've examined each of these three toxic types in detail, I want to talk about the patterns they all share, because understanding these commonalities will help you recognize toxicity even when it doesn't fit neatly into one category. Most toxic men actually exhibit traits from multiple categories, and the specifics matter less than the underlying patterns of behavior. First, all three types share a fundamental lack of reciprocity. In a healthy relationship, there's a natural give and take. You support each other. You contribute to each other's lives. You make each other's existence better. With toxic men, the flow is always one direction, toward them. You're giving, supporting, contributing, adapting, sacrificing. They're taking, demanding, expecting, criticizing, and benefiting. And when you point this out, they have elaborate justifications for why this imbalance is actually fair, or why you're being selfish for noticing it. Second, they all use emotional manipulation rather than direct communication. A healthy partner tells you directly what they need and works with you to find solutions. Toxic men manipulate you into meeting their needs without them having to ask directly. They use guilt, shame, fear, obligation, and confusion to get what they want while maintaining deniability. This allows them to control you while claiming they're not controlling, to take from you while claiming they're not demanding, to hurt you while claiming they're not being hurtful. Third, they all undermine your perception of reality. This is called gaslighting in extreme cases, but it exists on a spectrum. They tell you that things didn't happen the way you remember. They tell you that you're too sensitive or reading too much into things. They tell you that your feelings are wrong or disproportionate. They tell you that your concerns are unfounded. Over time, this erodes your confidence in your own judgment, which makes you more dependent on them to tell you what's real and what's not. Fourth, they all position themselves as victims when held accountable. No matter what they've done, they find a way to make it about how they're the one being hurt or misunderstood or unfairly treated. This keeps you off balance because you came into the conversation trying to address something they did, and you end up having to comfort them and apologize. The actual issue never gets resolved, and you learn to stop bringing things up because it's too exhausting and counterproductive. Fifth, they all resist change. They might promise to change. They might acknowledge problems in the moment, but sustained, genuine change doesn't happen because change would require them to give up the benefits they're getting from the toxic patterns, and they're not willing to do that. They're comfortable with the dynamic exactly as it is, with you doing most of the work and them reaping most of the benefits. Why would they change that? Sixth, they all isolate you in various ways, whether it's through direct discouragement of your friendships or through creating drama that makes maintaining those friendships too exhausting, or through absorbing so much of your time and energy that you have nothing left for other relationships. The result is the same. You become more and more dependent on them because they're the only close relationship you have left. And they've positioned themselves as the only person who really understands you, since everyone else supposedly doesn't get it or doesn't support you the way they do. Seventh, they all escalate their bad behavior over time. They start with small things to test your boundaries and see what you'll tolerate. When you accept those small things, they push a little further, then a little further, then a little further. Before you know it, you're accepting behavior you never would have tolerated at the beginning of the relationship. But it happened so gradually that you didn't notice the shift. This is why people often look back after leaving toxic relationships and wonder how they let it get so bad. It's because it didn't start out that bad. It escalated incrementally with each new level of bad behavior becoming the new normal before the next level started. Eighth, they all make you feel crazy for having normal reactions and normal needs. You want to spend time with friends. You're not committed enough to the relationship. You want them to contribute equally. You're materialistic and keeping score. You want honest communication. You're starting drama. You want them to follow through on commitments. You're controlling. They frame your reasonable expectations as unreasonable demands, which makes you question whether you're asking for too much, expecting too much, being too difficult. Finally, they all count on your good qualities to keep you trapped. They rely on your compassion to make you keep trying to help them. They rely on your commitment to make you keep working on the relationship even when it's one-sided. They rely on your optimism to make you believe things will get better. They rely on your empathy to make you understand their perspective and excuse their behavior. They rely on your patience to tolerate their lack of growth. They rely on your love to keep you invested, even when they're not loving you back in any meaningful way. Understanding these patterns helps you see that the problem isn't you. You're not too sensitive. You're not too demanding. You're not bad at relationships. You're in a relationship with someone who's exploiting your good qualities while contributing little in return, and no amount of understanding or patience or love from you is going to change that fundamental dynamic. Why mature women are targeted. Let me address something that might be bothering you as you listen to all of this. You might be wondering, why me? Why would these men specifically target mature, accomplished women? Don't they want someone younger, less experienced, easier to control? And the answer is both yes and no. Yes, toxic men often target younger women because they're statistically easier to manipulate due to less life experience. But the professional victim, the subtle controller, and the late-life opportunist are specifically attracted to mature women for very particular reasons, and understanding this can help you recognize when you're being targeted rather than genuinely valued. First, mature women often have resources. You've built careers, you own homes, you have savings and retirement accounts, you have established lives with assets and stability. These men are attracted to that security and those resources because they want access to them. They're not looking for a young woman they'll have to support. They're looking for an established woman who can support them, or at very least not require support from them. Second, mature women are often at a stage in life where we're emotionally vulnerable in specific ways. Maybe you've been through a divorce. Maybe you've been single for a while and you're worried about being alone. Maybe your children are grown and you're looking for a new focus for your nurturing energy. Maybe you've spent years building a career and you're ready to focus more on relationships. These vulnerabilities are openings that toxic men exploit. Third, mature women are often more forgiving and understanding than younger women because we've lived enough to know that people are complicated and relationships are hard and nobody's perfect. We're less likely to have zero-tolerance policies for red flags. We're more likely to try to work through problems. We're more likely to give people chances to explain themselves. We're more likely to believe in growth and change. And toxic men count on this because it means we'll tolerate behavior that younger women with less patience and more options would immediately reject. Fourth, mature women often have fewer options in the dating market due to age discrimination and smaller dating pools, and we know it. This makes us more likely to try to make relationships work even when they're not working. We're more likely to overlook red flags because we're afraid we won't find someone else. We're more likely to settle for less than we deserve because we've internalized the message that we should be grateful for any decent man who's interested. Toxic men specifically target women they believe have fewer options because those women are easier to trap. Fifth, mature women are often excellent at caregiving, household management, emotional labor, and all the practical skills that come from years of running our own lives and often supporting others. We're competent, we're capable, we can handle things. And for the professional victim who wants to be taken care of, for the subtle controller who wants someone to manage life for him, for the late life opportunist who wants a caregiver, these skills are exactly what they're shopping for. Sixth, mature women are often more sexually confident and knowledgeable, which can be attractive to men who have specific sexual needs. They want met without the drama or neediness they associate with younger partners. But this sexual confidence can also be weaponized against you, as in, if you're so confident and liberated, why are you making such a big deal about this particular thing I want? Finally, mature women are often compassionate and empathetic in ways that come from life experience. We've been through hard things. We know what it's like to struggle. We have deep capacity for understanding human pain and complexity. And this beautiful quality is precisely what toxic men exploit. They know that a mature, empathetic woman will listen to their story of hardship and want to help. They know she'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They know she'll try to understand their perspective. They know she'll sacrifice her own needs to meet theirs because she's done it before for others, and she has a track record of putting others first. I want you to understand something important. None of these qualities that make you targetable are weaknesses. Your resources are evidence of your success. Your emotional depth is evidence of your humanity. Your forgiveness is evidence of your wisdom. Your caregiving abilities are evidence of your love. Your sexual confidence is evidence of your self-knowledge. Your empathy is evidence of your beautiful heart. These are strengths. They become vulnerabilities only when someone exploits them. The problem isn't that you have these qualities. The problem is that some men see these qualities and think opportunity, rather than seeing them and thinking treasure. The solution isn't to become hard or closed or cynical. The solution is to become discerning about who you share these beautiful qualities with. Not everyone deserves access to your resources, your empathy, your care, your forgiveness, your emotional depth. These things are precious, and they should be given only to people who value them, reciprocate them, and protect them. How to protect yourself. Now let's talk about practical strategies for protecting yourself from these three types of toxic men, because awareness is the first step. But you also need concrete tools for recognizing these patterns early and extricating yourself before you're in too deep. First and most important, slow down. I know this is hard, especially if you've been single for a while or if you meet someone who seems really promising. But toxic men often use intensity and speed to hook you before you have time to think clearly. They love bomb you with attention and affection and talk of the future. They create a sense of urgency and momentum. They make you feel like this is special and rare and you should grab onto it before it slips away. Resist this urgency. A man who's genuinely interested in building something real with you will still be there in 3 months, 6 months, a year. A man who's trying to manipulate you needs to lock you in quickly before you see through his act. So if someone is pushing hard for commitment, for moving in together, for combining lives in major ways before you really know each other, that's a huge red flag. Slow it down. Take your time. Let the relationship unfold naturally. Watch for patterns over time, not just initial intensity. Second, maintain your independence, no matter how in love you feel. Keep your own living space. Keep your own finances separate. Keep your own friendships and interests active. Keep your own identity intact. Don't merge your life with someone until they've proven over significant time that they're worthy of that level of trust and commitment. And even then, make sure merging happens in ways that protect your interests legally and financially. This is especially important for mature women because we often have significant assets and established lives that took us decades to build. Don't risk that for a relationship that hasn't proven itself. Don't let anyone pressure you into making major changes or commitments quickly. A partner who truly loves you will want you to be protected and secure. A partner who's trying to exploit you will push for arrangements that benefit them at your expense. Third, trust your instincts even when you can't articulate exactly what's wrong. You have decades of life experience reading people and situations. You have highly developed intuition. If something feels off, it probably is. Even if you can't put your finger on what exactly is bothering you. Don't let anyone talk you out of your gut feelings. Don't let anyone convince you that you're being paranoid or too cautious or not giving them a fair chance. Your instincts are the accumulation of everything you've learned about human behavior over your lifetime. They're detecting patterns your conscious mind hasn't fully processed yet. They're warning you based on subtle cues you're picking up but haven't analyzed. Listen to them, honor them, act on them. Better to end a relationship that might have been fine than to stay in one that your instincts are telling you is dangerous. Fourth, watch what people do, not what they say. Toxic men are often very good with words. They say the right things. They make the right promises. They tell you what you want to hear, but their actions tell the real story. Does his behavior match his words? Do his patterns match his promises? Does he follow through on commitments? Does he show up consistently? Does he treat you with respect, not just in words, but in how he actually behaves toward you? Pay particular attention to how he treats other people, especially people who can't do anything for him. How does he treat servers and service workers? How does he talk about his ex-partners? How does he interact with his family? How does he handle frustration and disappointment? These behaviors will eventually be directed at you, so watch them carefully. Fifth, maintain a support system of people who know you well and care about you. Don't isolate yourself in the relationship, no matter how wonderful it seems. Keep your friendships active. Stay close to family if you have positive family relationships. Maintain connections with people who've known you for years and can give you perspective. And here's the key: listen to them when they express concerns about your relationship. If multiple people who love you are worried about how you're being treated or how you're changing in the relationship, take that seriously. It's easy to dismiss one person's concerns as them not understanding. It's harder to dismiss when several people are expressing similar worries. Your support system can see things you can't see because you're in the middle of it. Sixth, educate yourself about manipulation tactics and toxic relationship patterns. The more you understand about how these dynamics work, the better you can spot them early. Read books about emotional abuse, narcissistic relationships, codependency, boundaries. Follow therapists and relationship experts who talk about these issues. Learn the terminology and the patterns. Knowledge is protection. When you know that love bombing is a manipulation tactic, you can recognize it when it's happening to you. When you know that triangulation is a control strategy, you can spot it in your relationship. When you know that Darvo, deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender is a common response pattern when abusers are confronted, you can recognize it instead of falling for it. Education gives you the framework to understand what you're experiencing and the language to articulate it. Seventh, set clear boundaries early and watch how he responds. Boundaries aren't about controlling the other person. They're about defining what you will and won't accept in how you're treated. Have boundaries around your time, your money, your body, your emotional energy, your relationships with others, your need for alone time, your standards for communication and respect. State these boundaries clearly, and then watch very carefully what happens. A healthy partner will respect your boundaries even if they're disappointed sometimes. They might negotiate if a boundary creates a problem for them, but they'll respect your right to have it. A toxic partner will test boundaries, push against them, violate them, and then apologize, make you feel guilty for having them, or claim your boundaries prove you don't really care about them. How someone responds to your boundaries tells you everything you need to know about whether they see you as a person with rights or as an object that exists to serve their needs. Eighth, don't ignore red flags hoping they'll go away. Early in relationships, we often see concerning things, but tell ourselves we're being too judgmental, too picky, too quick to find fault. We give the benefit of the doubt. We wait to see if things improve. We hope the good will outweigh the bad. But here's the truth. Red flags early in relationships almost never go away. They almost always get worse. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. When someone demonstrates a lack of empathy, a pattern of blaming others, an inability to take responsibility, a tendency toward manipulation, a disrespect for boundaries, believe that this is who they are. Don't wait around hoping they'll change into someone different. Don't invest years trying to fix someone who doesn't think they're broken. See the red flags clearly, acknowledge what they mean, and make decisions based on reality, not potential. Ninth, be willing to be alone rather than be with someone who diminishes you. This is perhaps the hardest but most important protection you have. Many women stay in toxic relationships because being alone feels scary or sad or like failure. We've internalized so many messages about our value being tied to having a partner that we tolerate poor treatment rather than face singleness. But I need you to really understand this. Being alone is not a consolation prize. Being alone is not settling. Being alone is not giving up. Being alone can be a rich, full, joyful experience where you have autonomy, peace, freedom, and the space to pursue what matters to you without someone undermining you at every turn. Being with the wrong person is infinitely lonelier than being by yourself, and it's far more damaging to your well-being and your sense of self. Finally, if you realize you're already in a relationship with one of these toxic types, please seek professional help in leaving safely. Toxic men often escalate when they sense they're losing control of you. Leaving can be the most dangerous time. Work with a therapist who understands abuse dynamics. Create a safety plan. Secure your finances. Document concerning behavior. Don't announce your intentions until you're ready to execute your plan. Lean on your support system and know that you deserve better, that it's not too late to start over, that you're not stupid for getting involved with him, that you can rebuild your life on your own terms. The good news: recognizing patterns leads to better choices. I want to end this main section with something hopeful, because I know this has been heavy and maybe frightening if you're recognizing patterns from your own life. The good news is that once you truly understand these patterns, you become nearly immune to them. The knowledge protects you. The awareness creates a shield. These manipulation tactics only work on people who don't recognize them for what they are. When you can spot the professional victim's weaponized vulnerability, you're no longer susceptible to the guilt trips and the responsibility deflection. When you can recognize the subtle controller's tactics, you're no longer confused about why you feel controlled when he claims to respect your independence. When you can identify the late-life opportunist's transactional approach, you're no longer vulnerable to being used while believing you're being loved. This discernment doesn't make you cynical. It makes you wise. It doesn't close you off from love. It helps you save your love for people who deserve it and will reciprocate it. It doesn't make you paranoid. It makes you appropriately cautious, which is a form of self-respect. And here's something beautiful that happens when you develop this level of discernment. You start attracting different kinds of men, or at least you start recognizing more quickly which men are worth your time. Because when you have strong boundaries and clear standards and genuine self-worth that doesn't require external validation, toxic men tend to either not approach you in the first place or to reveal themselves much more quickly because you don't respond to their manipulation tactics the way they expect. The professional victim discovers that you're not going to rescue him, and he moves on to find someone who will. The subtle controller realizes that you're not going to slowly erase yourself to please him, and he finds someone more malleable. The late-life opportunist sees that you're not going to provide unpaid caregiving and unlimited access to your resources, and he looks for an easier target. Meanwhile, healthy men with genuine emotional maturity, men who want actual partnership, men who value you as a complete person, those men are attracted to your strength and your clarity. They're not threatened by your boundaries. They're not put off by your standards. They don't see your self-sufficiency as a challenge to overcome. They see it as evidence that you're someone worth getting to know, someone who won't play games, someone who knows her own worth. So yes, this information might be painful if it's helping you see your current or past relationships more clearly. Yes, it might be scary if you're realizing you need to make changes. Yes, it might be disappointing if you're understanding that someone you trusted isn't who you thought they were. But it's also empowering, liberating, and ultimately protective. Knowledge is power, and the knowledge of these toxic patterns gives you the power to choose differently going forward. We've covered a tremendous amount of ground today, and I want to thank you for staying with me through this deep dive into the 3 types of toxic men that mature women need to recognize and avoid. The professional victim who weaponizes vulnerability and turns your compassion into obligation. The subtle controller who systematically diminishes your autonomy while claiming to respect it. And the late-life opportunist who sees you as a resource to exploit rather than a partner to cherish. These men are out there, they're sophisticated in their approaches, and they specifically target accomplished, empathetic, mature women like you. But now you know the patterns, you know the red flags, you know the tactics, you know what to watch for. And this knowledge is your protection. Use it, trust it, act on it. Don't second-guess yourself when you see these patterns showing up in someone you're dating. Don't make excuses for behavior that violates your boundaries or diminishes your worth. Don't sacrifice your peace, your resources, your autonomy, or your joy for someone who has no intention of reciprocating. You deserve a partner who sees you as a full human, being with needs and dreams and complexity. You deserve someone who contributes to your life as much as you contribute to theirs. You deserve reciprocity, respect, honesty, and genuine care. Don't settle for less. Don't accept crumbs and call it a feast. Don't mistake intensity for intimacy or neediness for love or control for care. Before we close, I want to ask you again to support this channel. If you found this content valuable, hit that like button if this resonated with you or helped you see something more clearly. Your likes genuinely help this message reach more women who need it. Leave a comment sharing your experiences, your thoughts, your questions, or your insights. The community we're building in the comments is a powerful source of support and validation for women who are navigating these difficult situations. Share this video with the women in your life. Send it to your sister, your friend, your daughter, your colleague. We need to look out for each other and help each other see what's happening when we're too close to a situation to see it clearly ourselves. Your share could literally save someone from years of manipulation and heartache. Subscribe to the Heart Code and turn on notifications so you never miss our content. We're committed to providing you with the deep, research-based, psychologically sophisticated information you need to navigate relationships from a position of strength and clarity. We don't do surface-level advice here. We go deep. We tell the truth. We respect your intelligence and your right to make informed decisions about your own life. And if you have the financial means and you found real value in this content, please consider supporting the channel with super thanks. Your financial support allows us to keep producing free, high-quality content that's accessible to all women, regardless of their circumstances. It allows us to invest in research, to bring you the most current and accurate information, and to keep this channel independent and focused on serving you rather than serving advertisers or sponsors. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being willing to look at difficult truths. Thank you for valuing yourself enough to seek out information that helps you protect yourself and make wise choices. Thank you for being part of this community of intelligent, thoughtful, self-aware women who are committed to living with dignity and choosing relationships that honor rather than diminish them. Remember, you are not too old to start over. You are not too damaged to deserve love. You are not too difficult for having standards. You are not too independent for needing partnership. You are enough exactly as you are, and the right person will see that and value it. The wrong person will try to convince you otherwise. Know the difference. Choose wisely. Protect yourself. And never, ever apologize for refusing to accept less than you deserve. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, trust yourself, honor yourself, and remember that you deserve relationships that make your life bigger, not smaller. Take care of that beautiful heart of yours. The world needs it, but not everyone deserves access to it. Be selective, be wise, be strong, and know that being alone with your dignity intact is always better than being partnered with someone who diminishes you. Thank you for watching The Heart Code. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and support us with super thanks if you can. Your engagement means everything, and together we're creating a community where women support each other in choosing relationships that honor our worth. See you next time.